Hi, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in to Around the World in 80 Oysters, a live show that explores international oyster culture, cuisine, and appreciation. Long hiatus. Welcome back to Oyster School. I'm Julie Chu. I'm the founder of In a Half Shell, your guide to the world's most exceptional oysters, oyster people, oyster destinations, all oyster things. So today I'm super excited to come back in the fall with a new episode featuring oysters in France. It's been a long time coming because, of course, everybody knows oysters are essential, iconic to France, and I'm so happy to welcome Jean-Jacques Cadoret, who is a fifth generation oyster culturist for his family company, Le Huitres Cadoret. Apologize for my French. So I'm going to bring Jean-Jacques on. And of course, for everybody who's tuning in, you are so welcome to ask questions in the comments. We will address them at the very end, but just keep comments coming in like during the show. So I'm going to bring. Hello, good morning, good afternoon.
Hello, good morning.
Well, thank you so much for appearing on this show. We're going to have an awesome time learning about oysters in France and also getting to know your company quite a bit. So people are really excited to, learn more about what you do. Um,
Mhm.
so before we get into the meat of things, I would love to have you kind of tell me about what you do with the company, everything and anything, and how it started.
Mm. It's a old, very old family business because, like you said, I am the fifth generation to do oyster business in the Cadoret family. We start in 1890, something like this, on the river of the Bélon. You know, where comes the name from the Bélon? The original name from the Bélon come from this river. So we start only with the flat oyster. So in this time, and it was like a second job for my family because they work only 1 month. After the generation, the next generation work maybe 2 3 months and little bit. And my father was the first one who opened this business all the year, 12
Mm,
months around, because before in summer it was not so nice. We many company closed, the restaurant sell not oyster in Paris for the summer. So
sure.
my father was the first one to open all the year, and we start to develop the business, the production first. So because the Bellon was very too small for to make
Mm,
grow the oyster, so we try to take some ground in the north of Brittany, in the south also, and but we finish everything in the river. So it's very
got
important
it.
to finish them in the river. It's like the wine, we need the nice terroir, the nice
Yes,
place to do the thing. It's very
absolutely.
important.
Let me pull up this map so everybody knows where we're talking about.
Yeah, exactly. So the origin of the family business is here in Riec-sur-Bellon. Riec-sur-Bellon, it's a very small river. It's a salty river. Huh? We saw like
Yep.
this. So it goes directly in the water, and it's a
Mm,
mix of fresh water and salt water. And we have tide. So every year, every day, during 6 hours, the water get down, and 6 hours, the water get up. So we change the water every year, every day,
yeah. Yep.
naturally, 2 times per day. So it's make a very good mix of the fresh water and the salt water and of the quality of the ground. And this make a very nice taste for the oyster. It's very important. But we may grow near everything on the top where you see Morlaix. If you see Morlaix on your map,
Right here?
yes, this one, yes. So in
Okay.
this bay, is the bay of Carantec, we make exactly here. So
Yep.
all this bay, all this area, we make the production of the oyster. We
I
put the
see.
seed, the baby, and we keep them grow during minimum 3 to 4 years. It depends on what we want to do with them.
Got it. Now,
So
did you say that you actually start all of your oysters here and then you transfer them?
yeah,
Got
all the
it.
oyster grow in this area in Carantec. So
Okay.
because they born or naturally or naturally, because
Yep.
in France we have natural reproduction of oyster. So we can buy. It's the only thing I buy in the oyster is the seed, the baby,
Okay.
because we have two kind. Or the natural one will come from a different area in France,
Yep.
or the natural one, and we put them on this kind of ground that you see on in the middle.
Yes.
Because this is a picture with the low tide. When the tide go out, we can walk on the ground, and when the
I
tide go
see.
up, you have 10 meters more on this ground, so you can go only by boat.
Okay, got it.
And we can use two techniques mainly, not only Cadoret, but in France, we use two or maybe three way because in the south of France it's a little bit different. We can
Mm-hmm.
put the oyster directly on the ground, this ground in front of you. We can put
Yep.
the oyster directly on the ground, or we can put them also on net bags.
Okay.
It's plastic bags on
Yes.
metallic tables, and we put them like this on the ground.
So
And
you
it's two
practice
different
both.
kind. Yes, because in some area, on some ground, you cannot do. In Carantec, we can choose. Some
Mm.
park can be for the net bags, and some area can be for directly on the ground. So it depends what we want to do, but we use
I see.
the two technique we use.
And how depending on the technique, does it take the same amount of time or different amount of time to get to a market?
If- It's around the same. Sometimes in net bags, it can go a little bit quickly, but it's not very good. I think for me, the key of the success to make a nice oyster is to make them grow slowly,
Mm,
not too quick. If they go too
sure.
quick, they will be not really finished. They will have the good size, but
Yeah.
the meat inside will be not finished. The taste not ready. It's before a few years ago, everybody want to make quick oyster, but it's not.
Yes.
It's not. If you want to make quality oyster, it's completely opposite. You need to make them grow as low as possible.
Oh, wow. That is very
Because
different from, you know.
no, because okay, for the business, it's better maybe to make them grow quick and sell them quick. But we work only with restaurant and with people that we know very well. So it's important to make them grow slowly. And like this, the
Mm,
shell is not too big, but the meat is very consistent.
mm,
Especially for, maybe I have to explain this in Jagas oyster. We have two kind of oyster classification in France.
yeah.
We can make three kind. We have the fin with meaty but not so meaty. We have the special and
Yep.
with more meaty, and we have the super special who are full in meat.
This
So
is,
you have the first one is the Bélon, is the flat one.
mm,
It's very easy to see because the form is completely different. The
yep.
second one in the middle is the fin from Brittany. So this is meaty but not full of meat. On the
Mm-hmm.
side is another kind of fin. This one is from Fin de Clair. It's also a very famous one in France.
Yes.
And the fourth one is the Special Cadoret or the Black Pearl. This is two of our main super special. It's very meaty, very
Mm,
crunchy, very sweet also. Because when we keep the oyster longer, they become also more meaty and sweeter. So
sweeter.
it's very different taste. And the origin is completely the same. It's the same baby, it's the same way. During 3 years, it's the same way.
Sure.
Only the last years can change a little bit. And the
This,
two other one is green oyster because we put them in some special tanks in Marais Oléron and they take the green color. It's another area of production in France, not
yeah.
Italy, in the southwest.
I understand that that's the product of a special algae in the water that makes it green, right?
Yes, because it's in a special tanks. Where we put this to be green. We can put all the white oyster. When the tanks are green, we
Mm-hmm.
put them in the tanks and it's become green. It's very nice. Okay, it's very famous. Maybe I think maybe in Paris, but outside Paris, it's not very famous to get green oyster because many people don't know what it is and are surprised.
Yeah, there's
It's very
a.
nice, but we need to be used to this,
Do you
and it's
think
not
that
easy.
the. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Yes. No. I say the color green don't change the taste. It keep the same taste, but it just have a new look. The looking
I see.
is different, but the taste is exactly the same.
I see. That was my question, if you think that it impacts the taste, but
No,
it.
no, no,
Okay.
no, because we call this navicule bleu in French. I don't know in English. It's a
Yes.
small seaweed that is in the water, and when the oyster eats this, it's become green.
Got it. Now, does that
It's
mean why do the French like green oysters?
or because it was it's only one area in France where we can do this because the navicule bleu is very specific
Hmm,
to one area.
I
So
see.
it was using like marketing or looking of the oyster on. We sell this one. It's typically for this. Normally, the film de clair from Marais Oléron have to be
Yeah.
green.
I see. Okay.
It's why.
Got it. Now, do most farms in France produce all these varieties, or do some farms only do one or the other?
Alors, the Bélon one, the fat one, is only in Brittany
Okay.
because they born on they live only in Brittany. All the other one, all the gigas oysters, the fins special on it, can grow near everywhere in France. In France, you have on all the coast from the north, from the Normandy to Brittany to Marais-Oléron, even to the south near
Yeah.
Marseille, you have oyster everywhere.
Yeah.
Of course, everywhere is different taste, different way to make them grow. It's a little bit like the wine, you know, it depends on the origin, on the work we can do. So it changes the taste every time on the quality of the meat.
Yes. And you were talking about how there's the terroir of
Terroir
oysters
is
as
very
well.
important.
Yes.
Yeah, because we need to, what is very important is the work we do also, because every day we need to go to work on the ground to take care about the oyster. It's not a baby we put on the ground and go alone. Every day we need to work on this kind of oyster.
Yeah.
And after but we need also, even we need to make the job when we have to do it, but we need to have the terroir. Without the terroir, it's impossible. Imagine it's impossible to make Romani Conti in Riec sur Bélon. It's impossible. You need to get the ground on the place. It's
Yes.
very important.
Yeah.
It's very,
Incredible.
very important.
Now, I have another picture here of just some of your products, and you did mention the Pearl Noir, the black pearl. Is that a
Yes,
brand that is, specific
yes.
to Cadoret?
The,
Okay.
the Perle Noir, it's a very meaty oyster.
Yeah.
Very meaty because it's very sweet, crunchy, and meaty. It's very different than the fin. On the on this picture we don't see, but the fin is on the right,
Yeah.
and the other one is the flat oyster. This one is very different. But the Perle Noir, it's the same kind as the fin, but we put the minimum after the 3 years when they become adult. We put them minimum 6 to 8 months, and maybe sometime 10 months in the Bélon River to make them
Okay.
not grow, but just to take the meat and to change the taste, and they become very meaty and very sweet.
So when you're putting it in that environment, what is actually happening? Why do they get? Are they just eating more
Uh,
food, or is it the temperature?
yes, they are eating more food. The
Okay.
temperature of the river, of course, is a little bit higher than in the ocean
Okay.
in Carantec. And also, every day they can breathe out of the water, you know, because it's not very deep. It's not as deep as in Carantec. So the oysters are in the air every day,
Mm.
and they become stronger and stronger. And it's very important that they are very strong and very meaty because we shake them, you know, in the bags because we don't want they grow. We
Yeah.
want just they get the nice meat inside, and it's very, very important. But it's not so easy because first it's long because it's minimum 6 months after the oyster are adult and
Yeah.
big, and we have some mortality, and it's a very important cost because we need to go every day and
Yeah.
to work differently. But it's a very nice oyster. We sell this in many. It's also near 2 times more expensive than the fin, so it's also there's a price. But many restaurants do this in France, in Europe, everywhere. It's a very, very famous products, and
Yeah.
but it's also a limited quantity because all this kind of products is very difficult to make huge quantity. For the fin, it's very easy.
Hmm.
We fish all the oyster on the ground, and we are sure to get fin. But for the special and for the super special, it's very difficult.
It's very small.
It's very, very difficult. Yeah.
Now, I guess backing up, I understand that for these types of grades, it's a industry standard, right? It's not just one farm deciding to do one thing. Like all farms have, is it true? Like all farms have agreed that this classification means specific
Yes,
things.
yes.
Okay.
It's a French regulation. So we need to. So we have the grade for the oyster. So we call them number one, number two, number three, number four. So this we have to weight them, and between 60 and 90 grams is one number. 80, 90 to 110 is another number. This is obligatory for everybody. after the classification, fin and special, it's also French rules.
Classification.
So on super special also, on the Bélon also. So this is the law. But after, you can make a special Cadoret or special Perle Noir or special from another area. After, what is important is the name of the producer and the area where we make them. This is the most important.
How many
But the classification is the same for everybody.
Okay. That's very different. I don't think a lot of countries really have as, sophisticated of classification as in France.
You know, it's a big industry in France, of a big industry. It's many small company, but all together it's like a huge volume, because in France, the official production is 100,000, more than 100,000 tons of oyster every year.
Wow.
So it's huge. France is number 2 or 3 in the world for volume of production. It depends how they make the statistic. Generally, it's United States or China, but it's not exactly the same kind of oyster, because one big part of the oyster, I imagine, in America and in China, everything, they take just the meat to cook or to smoke or something like this. They don't eat fresh, because the quality of the water is not good. In the US, you can eat fresh, but a big part of the industry is also only the meat.
Yeah. Yes.
In France, all what we sell for the French oyster is fresh, live, and we need to open and to check directly when we give to the consumer.
Oh wow! So there is no shucked meat industry in France.
We start around 5-6 years ago with my cousin to shuck the lobster meat first. You know, we take the lobster, we take the raw lobster meat, and we make also some oyster meat, but it's for very small market. In France and in Europe is very small. We sell this little bit in Asiatic country, but our main business is fresh and live oyster. Yeah, we make some meat with the big one, with the very big one oyster. Sometimes some people or some industrial also want meat to make some special things, but it's not a huge business in France. The meat of oyster is from US or from China also.
Right. Yeah.
Or Korea or something like this.
And are they all packed in these boxes?
Yes, this is a traditional boxes. We pack them by 12, 24, 36, 48, and like this. Every time by 12 pieces, 12, 24, like this.
12.
Because it's a traditional way. Normally in France, when we eat oyster, we 12 per people.
Oh, I see. That's, of course, a dozen oysters. That's very classic.
Yeah, the dozen of oyster.
Well,
so it depends on the size, but.
Sorry, can you tell me more about the box itself? What is it made of, and why has it been like this?
But it was traditionally with wooden boxes, because the wood was something natural. It's also good for the temperature of the oyster. Is nice. It's not. It's more traditional. It's nicer. Some people use a plastic. Some people use also polystyrene. I don't know if polystyrene, you understand in English? Plastic boxes, like for the fish.
Yes. Styrofoam, maybe?
Oh, yes, styrofoam. Okay. Yes. But we use this one traditionally since the beginning. The form can change. We have some who are round, we have some who have different form. But we use all is in wood, and the top is also in wood or in plastic. Where you can see the oyster directly, but as we sell directly to the restaurant like to have boxes in wood like this, and they can show the top of it's right, Cadoret, Huitres Plat, La Fine, like this, they know what is this, and it's more easy for the people who open the oyster.
Yeah, it's very lovely. I love to get. It's almost like
because we have many kind of oyster, so it's better that the guy who will shop the oyster know where we are.
Absolutely. Well, tell me about just oyster culture in France, and you bring up the shucker or the calier.
But this is the guy on this picture downstairs.
Yeah.
Is Marcel Le Soal. He's a world champion of oyster. He has 3 or 4 Guinness book about open the oyster. I make one in Hong Kong with him. We have the record of the close eyes. He have something on the ice,
Yes.
and he opened the oyster directly like this. I don't know in 1 minute. I don't know how many, but it was incredible. He opened also on the back. He opened also with credit card. He can make big show with the oyster, and also he make very nice seafood plates. Is why he
Yeah.
work for me since a very long time because he make very nice decoration with shrimp, oyster, scampi, bulot, all the different shellfish, and the oyster because the oyster is very important. That the oyster is nice opening because if you broke the meat, broke the shell, uh, okay, the taste will be the same, but the looking is completely different. If
Right.
your oyster arrive cut by the knife in the plate, is not nice. If
Right.
the oyster arrive all all the meat full of meat with no place for the knife is very nice.
Yes.
It's much nicer, and it's why oyster a guy like this we call this écaillé in France is very important
Got it.
because they open quick but very
But
nice.
very nice. How many uh, Ecalier does the country have? Is it a small percentage of people who have this expertise, or is it
Well,
growing?
I don't know how many écaillés in France. I don't know, but in Paris, it's very traditional, and in many big towns in France, to have what we call brasserie.
Mm.
Is a traditional. They have outside on the street or inside the restaurant a big display with oyster on the seafood, and they have two or three guys, maybe more. There is some brasserie in Paris like La Coupole or Le Congrès Porte Maillot, where they have minimum 10 people who open the oyster every day, only
What?
for the oyster.
Wow. All year round.
It's, yeah, all year round, of course, yes, yes.
Wow.
Maybe a little bit less in summer,
Yeah.
but they are working all year round.
Oh, amazing.
And all the restaurant, my sister in a small restaurant, she have two oyster guy. Everywhere you have one or two minimum people to open the oyster.
Yeah. That's and
And it's
where
very specific. There is a school in Paris who learn how to open, how to check on many things about this because it's very important. It's not very difficult, but you need to learn.
it's hard to master, I would say. I think anybody can open an oyster, but to make it look nice while
Uh,
while
yes, but it's not so difficult. If you
yeah.
take your time, you don't need to be very strong. You take your time. You need to put the knife at the right place and have the right way to move the hand, and it's okay.
Yeah.
But it's very important because many times I see on Instagram or Facebook or things, plates of oyster,
I know.
horrible.
I know. It's so bad.
And it's okay. The taste will be maybe good, but the looking for the products is and this guy Marcel is very angry every time when he saw oyster were not open. And we make many demonstration with him in many country to explain to the new oyster guy how to open, how to conserve, how to make the presentation. To the oyster is very important, and it's really important because many people doesn't understand this at the beginning
Right.
how to open, how to make the presentation.
Right. So I feel like consumers, on one hand, they don't understand what that effort is like. Do you guys sell any oysters direct to consumers or teach everyday people how to open oysters or
No,
is it all
no,
restaurant?
no. We have a little activity to sell directly to the people, but no, we sell many. Okay, my sister have a 4 restaurants in Paris and one in Brittany. Okay, this we can say is near the family business, so we sell directly to the consumer. But after we make also delivery at home so for some oyster, but it's not our main.
Yeah.
Our main activity is to produce the oyster, to pack them, and to sell to the restaurant.
Yes. And
It's
how much of it is sold in the country versus exporting? I guess.
oh, it's near half and half. It's half in
Okay.
France and half in Europe and more an Asiatic country. And we sell some to Mexico. We sell some to all Asiatic country, to Russia, to Ukraine, to many countries, all Europe. Not
Yeah.
everywhere, but in many
Yeah.
countries in Europe, and big activity in Italy, in Spain.
Yeah. Do you think that in France, for everyday people, do they typically just eat oysters in a restaurant, or do people like to bring them home and open them
Oh,
at home?
we have it's we have both because
Okay.
many people eat oyster, of course, in restaurant because it's all is open. You have the presentation, and it's very nice. We have many restaurants in France where there is oyster shaker. We make a very nice presentation of oyster and seafood. So it's a big activity, but also it's very famous. Well, of course, for Christmas time. For
Sure.
Christmas time, the 20 December, 25 December, many people eat oyster at home in family because it's traditional, so people buy and bring them home. But also all the year there's many restaurants also sell oyster, open or close, to people to
Mm,
take away.
got
So
it.
no, people eat many oyster at home also, not every day because it's like a delicatessen or something like this. It's fine
Is
food, but
it?
it's not very expensive. But it's have an image of a delicatessen in
So,
France. The
okay, so
oyster.
it's not an everyday, I'm gonna have a dozen oysters for
No,
breakfast.
no, no, no. Even
Okay.
me, I like this. I love this very much, but I don't eat the oyster every day. Near every day, but not every day.
Is are there any famous oyster pairings that wanna like
Oh, after there is many for the wine or for the food.
for or both? For
Both.
wine.
For the wine, you can after it's up to you. It's like the oyster. Many people ask me which one is the best oyster. I say I can say you which one is the more expensive, but the best is depend of your taste.
Mhm.
If we make a big degustation of oyster with fin, with Bélon, with special, super special, black pearl, and different kind, okay, maybe one will be prefer one, another will be prefer another one. But you need to taste. For the
Sure.
wine, is the same. Me, I like very nice. When you take oyster in aperitif, I like very much with French champagne. It's very nice.
Yes.
You can drink also white wine from Burgundy. It's very nice, and like Meursault, puis Montrachet is very nice, but it's very expensive.
Yeah.
And traditionally, when you have an oyster like this on a small bar, we drink French Muscadet. I don't know if you know this. It's
Yes, of
from
course.
Brittany also. Is not so nice than the other one, but it's very nice with the oyster, and it's very not expensive. So
Okay.
it's you can have from the less expensive to the more expensive. You can have a good mix with the oyster. And in some country in France, they make also some I don't know in English, some small sauces. You know what is sauces? No, sauces
Mm, no.
like saucisse. Je sais pas comment on dit ça. It's like meat. Like for the baby.
Sausage.
Sausage.
Sausage?
Yes, sausage. A
Sausage.
kind of sausage. Yes, they make
Okay.
this hot kind of sausage, a small one, and
Uh-huh.
they this in Arcachon near Bordeaux.
Oh,
You know,
sure.
near
Like
Bordeaux, in
yes.
southwest of France, because
Yes.
the area of Arcachon it's also a huge area of production of oyster, and
Hmm.
they traditionally eat a small sausage like this with the oyster.
Yes, I've someone has told me about that.
Yeah,
Specifically
yeah, this is
blood
very traditional
sausage,
in this
yes?
area. But
Okay.
normally in France, we eat me. My recommendation to eat oyster is just like this, naturally, with no lemon, no different sauce, just natural like this. After, if you want, because if you taste different oyster, if you
Yes.
put many lemon or vinegar with a shallot or something like this, after, okay, it's not bad, but you don't feel the different taste. All will be
Right.
the same taste.
Right.
So I think the first time is better to make the degustation with nothing. And after,
Hmm.
if you want, you can put many things, or you can cook also. You can cook. You can make tartare. Many chefs make with the big oysters. They make a tartare, very
Hmm.
nice tartare with oyster. With
Tartare.
yes, very
That's
nice.
cool.
No, it's a very nice preparation. Now, it's not very popular in France to cook oyster, to prepare oyster, but it starts little bit. The new generation of chef make more preparation with the oyster now.
Have you seen any chefs do something completely different or innovative with oysters lately?
Oh yes, yes, yes. Traditionally, there is many chefs who cook, who prepare this. Oh, it's not especially cook. It's more like tartare or very small cooking. Eh?
Yeah.
But Guy Savoy is three Michelin star in Paris, very famous. Make oyster since every time. He make two or three different tartare and granité with the oyster. It's very nice. Olivier Bélon, also in Brittany, here it's two Michelin star. He make very nice preparation with oyster. Very nice preparation with oyster. Many chief prepare some oyster.
Yeah. Okay,
Yeah.
so I think we're getting up to about 30 minutes, and I know people are. Oh, hang on. What is this? Can you talk about the Meringue Oloron?
Yes, it's what I said to you at the beginning. In France, we produce oyster near everywhere on the coast. We start from the Normandy to Brittany and Vendée, and after Marais-Oléron, after Arcachon, and after even near Marseille. I see you at the beginning. So all around the coast, we produce oyster in France, everywhere. Marais-Oléron, it's the place, is one of the famous places where we make the film de clair. I speak with you before, the green one. So this is a area of Marais-Oléron. But
Got it.
every area have different taste and different way to produce the oyster and different kind and flavor of oyster. So you can have a very nice oyster all around the
Yeah.
French coast.
I'm very curious to know for oyster farmers, are most companies business operate or family owned and operated, or are there new people getting into the industry?
No, in France, it's not really an industry. It's an artisanal business more
Yeah.
because it's many small company. It's very
Yeah.
small company. Many times it's just the father with one or two guy or with a son. Or it's very small company. After you have some bigger company, but you have not. You have some new people who come inside, but it's generally small. You have not big investment in oyster business in France. No,
I see.
no
And
big.
for the small farms, then do they typically just farm and they sell to a distributor and
It depends. Normally, you have people who make only the farm and they sell to other oyster guy. We pack the oyster and sell them after on the market. But me, I make the two. I make the farm because we make all the production ourselves, and after I pack and I sell also to the market. You can have people who make only the production, only the packing,
Mhm.
or people like me, we do all.
All of it?
Yeah,
Got it.
you have all the kind in France. But many times the small producers they sell directly to other oyster guy like me, and we buy to them and we sell after on the market.
I see. Now, I guess my second to last question is, what? How do you feel like the French oyster industry is changing, or is going to change, or do you want to do anything with your company to drive it somewhere, drive innovation, or
No,
maintain traditions?
I think in all the company in France on try to change and to become more competitive, of course. But the way to produce, there is not many evolution in the way to produce the oyster. The way we produce now is the same as before, but
Yeah.
as five generation before, so it's not very modern. But the way to pick them up and to fish, okay, there is evolution on this.
Mm-hmm.
There is also big evolution in the way to pack the oyster. That the workers are, it's less difficult for the worker to do this. But after it's small evolution every time. But there's no revolution on many new things. It's smaller and smaller. It change, but not very quick. Not very quick
Nice.
because it's a very difficult job. Sometimes we have many mortality. It's very difficult to say, okay, this year I will have 100 ton more or 100 ton less. Is very difficult. The baby
Yeah.
can have mortality. The adult can have mortality. It's very difficult to 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 have prevision, serious
Yeah.
prevision in this kind of business because there is if it's too hot, too cold, too many water, fresh water, not enough, it changes. Everything can change
All the
very quick.
time. Yeah, that is hard
Yeah.
to forecast what
Yes,
you're
yes, yes.
going down the
It's
road.
near impossible. It's
Yeah.
near impossible. We make our job, and after we fish, we pack, and we see what we can do.
Wow.
But no, but I think many people now in France try to make nicer oysters than before. Before, many people make oyster to make oyster, but now
Right.
many people try to make a quality oyster, meaty oyster, and try to sell them directly. And when we sell them directly, of course, we're in contact with our customers, so they explain what they want, and it's no, no, the quality of in France we produce every time quality oyster. And it's a nice reputation for me. I travel everywhere in the world to sell oyster. I think really French oyster are the one of the most famous in the world. Huh?
Of course. Yeah. the most
So
expensive and the
no,
highest
no.
reputation
In
too.
France is not, in France there's many oyster who are not expensive because there's many production of standard oyster. You know,
Okay.
like the fin I speak. The fin oyster, of course, is not very expensive because it's not too difficult to make.
To make.
But
Yeah.
after when you arrive in the special or in the very super special, this is become to be very expensive. And the Bélon also is the Bélon, the flat oyster are very
Yes.
expensive in France.
Yes.
Even when they are big. When they are small, no, but when they are big, it's expensive. But we try to have a good quality price on the market to because more than 100,000 ton in France of production is a huge amount of production every year.
Oh,
We need
absolutely.
to sell them also every time.
Very cool. Well, I think that was the only question that we got for now, but I'm sure things will come in later. I want to thank you. And one last question for you is what I like to ask everybody is if you could visit anywhere else in the world, although it sounds like you've already been everywhere, but if you can visit anywhere in the world to try oysters, where would you like to go?
Every time when I travel, normally I try to taste the local oyster when there is some local oyster.
Yeah.
But or when I go also in Asiatic country, it's wonderful because you arrive in some restaurant in Hong Kong, they have 20 kind of oyster
Yeah.
from all over the world.
Yep.
So in France, we have not this chance because in France, I say happily or unhappily, we eat only French oyster.
Okay.
There
Yeah.
is no one restaurant in Paris we have oyster from Ireland or from Spain or from America or from Korea. It doesn't exist. But in Asiatic countries, they have not the same culture and they are open on the world and we can taste many oyster.
Yep.
So, but no, I try in the US also very nice. I try flat oyster from the US,
Oh,
fish in
what do
New
you
York.
think?
It was very nice. I was very surprising. I don't know there is flat oyster in New York, but he said me it's a very small amount, very
Very
small
small.
production.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Very
yeah.
small.
But it was nice. No, I taste very nice oyster everywhere.
Very
Is
cool.
you can I think we can produce a very nice oyster everywhere. And after not all, but in Australia also there is very nice oyster.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for taking the
But
time sharing your thoughts.
thank you to you. If you have other question after, you can send me and we will answer to you.
I will. All right. Have a
Okay.
good rest of the day.
Thank you.
All
Bye
right.
bye.
Bye.
Ciao. Bye bye.
Very cool. Well, that is Jean-Jacques Cadoret from the Huitres Cadoret, fifth generation oyster farmer. Awesome, fantastic job. Oh, I'm going to make sure that I show this on Instagram. Give them a follow. There's some amazing photos and stories there. And if you like today's episode, give it a like, share it, subscribe if you're on YouTube. I'm continuing to do this series like slowly but surely. So, recruiting more oyster experts and enthusiasts from other countries and maybe hitting up the US in different regions later on. So, stay tuned. And thanks for watching.